Well, I want to welcome you all. It's nice to see so many of you here for the League of Women Voters of Coos County's presentation regarding the Pacific Coast Intermodal Port. Tonight, we want to give you an overview of some of the project's components. First, a little bit about the League. The League of Women Voters' mission is that we are a nonpartisan political organization encouraging the informed and active participation of citizens in government. And we influence public policy through education and advocacy. The Coos County League conducts formal studies to develop positions on important subjects. And one of our important subjects that we have studied continuously since 1960 is the Port of Coos Bay. And at various times, we do sponsor informational meetings to present current information about important subjects. We're hosting this particular informational meeting regarding the developing and operating of a container terminal in Coos Bay because it has major implications for the economy and the environment of this area and its region. The Coos County estuary is among the most important public resources in this community, and everyone should understand what's being proposed and the changes it might bring to our region. The PCIP project involves an unprecedented commitment of public funding. Understanding the merits of these investments requires an in-depth understanding of the proposal. And tonight we're hoping to help you understand more about what we know about this project. Tonight, our presentations will consist of an overview of the North Spit Container Terminal by Dr. Jan Hodder, discussion of how the PCIP will change the ocean and estuary by Mike Graybill, an overview of the rail logistics and connections by Dr. Christine Moffett and Steve Miller, and a discussion of the Reedsport Rail Crossing Study by Tom Guevara of the Oregon Department of Transportation. I want to stress that these presentations are based on publicly available information, and elements of this project are still in development, and proprietary information is not included in our presentation. Information in these presentations is subject to change as more publicly available information becomes available. When we finish the presentations, we will be answering questions as well as we're able. And the process for questions from the audience is that there are League volunteers wearing blue shirts and wearing name tags, and they'll be circulating among the audience. And if you have a written question, just wave it in the air and they will come and pick it up. If you think of questions that you want to ask and you don't have a paper, wave your hand in the air and they will bring you paper and pencil. And you may have more questions as things develop, and these people will be happy to come and pick them up. The presenters are unlikely to be able to answer all the questions that we have, and those questions and all questions will be forwarded to the Port of Coos Bay Board of Commissioners at the end of this presentation. Today's presentations are being recorded and will be available on the League of Women Voters of Coos County's YouTube channel. The address is up here. A link will be on the League of Women Voters Coos County website, and this is a link to the website. If you can't remember any of that, and I never can, please feel free to Google League of Women Voters of Coos County, and the website will pop up. Thanks for your interest and attention. Finally, I wanted to mention that the presentations such as these do have a cost involved, and if you would like to contribute to the cost, there is a jar on the front where you could leave your donation, and that would be much appreciated. And membership in the League is open to all citizens, and we would be happy to have you join us and share in our work. And you may do that with information that is available at the front as you leave. Thank you again for being here. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your concern about our estuary and Port of Coos Bay projects. With that, I would like to introduce Jan Hodder, who will be our first speaker.
Okay. For those of you I've not met, I'm Jan Hodder. I am a retired faculty member from the Institute of Marine Biology at the University of Oregon out in Charleston, and I've been in that position for over 30 years. I'm going to talk about the Pacific Coast Intermodal Port, PCIP, and I'm also a member of the League of Women Voters, and talk about what we've learned from publicly available information. There are three components to the PCIP, and we know different amounts about different components. I'm going to talk primarily about the intermodal terminal, and we know least about that. The second component is the modifications that will happen to the navigation channel, and we know a lot more about that because the port has contracted with consultants to do studies that are required to be given to the Corps of Engineers, who I will call the Corps, to actually make these modifications of the channel. Currently, we have spent there has been funds allotted to the port from the state of about $80 million to do those studies. The third component of the PCIP is the rail line that's owned by the port, and we'll hear more about that later. It's been tricky to find information about the cost of this project. The Corps report has the most comprehensive, and you'll see there that in the Corps report it's suggested that the total cost of the project will be about $4.36 billion. An earlier estimate from 2023 had it at $1.77 billion, and on the Port of Coos Bay's website, where it says total build-out cost of approximately $2.3 billion, it's not clear to me quite what total build-out covers. So I'm now going to move to the container shipping terminal, and of course we don't have one, but this is a picture of what it could potentially look like. This is in Prince Rupert, Canada, and it will be an intermodal terminal, meaning that a ship will come, empty itself, or take the containers off and put them onto rail. And Prince Rupert is an example where it just is ship to rail. There's no option for trucks to take any cargo, and that will be the case here in Coos Bay. It's not a common thing in port. Most ports have ship to rail and ship to truck. So let's start in Asia, because that's where our products will come from. So some manufacturer in Asia, in South Korea, makes a whole lot of watering cans. Once they've got enough watering cans to fill a container, it might be a 20-foot container, but mostly they're 40-foot containers. And those containers are called TEUs, 20-foot equivalent units. So I'll be talking about TEUs. The shipping company will take it to the terminal, and the terminal operator will load that container on the ship. So what kind of ship? Well, there's a lot of different kinds of container ships, ranging in size, but the PCP is designed to accommodate ships carrying 13,000 TEUs. These are known as the Post-Panamax 3 ships, Post-Panamax meaning that they can actually go through the new locks that they built in Panama Canal. This is what they look like. The dimensions of the ships, the top drawing there, 1,100 feet long, 160 feet wide, and commonly a 50-foot draft. The rectangle on the right shows these dimensions, so you need a channel depth greater than 50 feet to allow these to navigate in port. This is an actual 13,000 TEU ship. Belongs to Hyundai Merchant Marine. They're a Korean shipping company. You can see the dimensions there. This one actually has a draft of 49 feet. So let's go and see how to get this container to the West Coast. An ocean carrier will either own or lease a ship to bring it. This is just one example. And this is a route that was announced by the Mediterranean Shipping Company, called the Mustang Call. The ship picks up the container from our port, it goes to other ports in Asia, picks up more containers, and MSC, which is a privately owned shipping company. It's owned by an Italian family. They're the largest shipping company in the world. They have 900 vessels. And in November 2024, they said that they would develop this Mustang service, bringing their containers to Vancouver, Seattle, and to Portland. But things have changed. Last month, market conditions changed. The company eliminated the Mustang route. They are going to send the ships on that route somewhere else. They changed the ports in Asia, and they added new US ports via their Orient service. They're still coming to Portland, but they're not going to Vancouver and Seattle anymore. This industry is one of the most volatile. Changes happen all the time. So let's now get the ship to Coos Bay. On the left, there's the map of the port ownership. The oval shows the approximate location of the terminal across from the hollering place in Empire. There's no publicly available designs yet for what the terminal would look like, but as it will be built in the tsunami zone, as you can see on the right-hand side of the map, one would hope that they take that into account when they design it. Here's an aerial view of the site. The terminal, the port owns 170 acres. It will require filling of intertidal areas and dredging of the subtidal. Here's some early concept designs, and this just goes to show you how we don't have all the information yet. Initially, there were berths for 3 vessels, but now here is a more updated, a more recent, and we're down to 2 berths. So that's an example, where we just are still seeing new developments for this. There would be 2 13,000 TEU ships. They have to dredge a bathtub berth to 50 feet so that when the tide is low, the ship does not touch the bottom. There'll be 10 cranes. They will take the containers off, put them in the container yard, where they will be stacked and sorted, and then they will be moved to the rail yard to make up the trains. The port has engaged with North Point to play a role in the terminal project. This is not the North Point Real Estate in Central Avenue, Coos Bay. This is a company that is based in Kansas City. It's privately held. They're a real estate development company, and the port has a 75-year lease with them. The company specializes in developing industrial sites and multifamily properties, including assisted living. The port has received an Infrastructure Rebuilding America grant from the Biden administration, $25 million. This is going to be used for the environmental compliance and permitting and design. So it's not to build the terminal, it's just to do studies for the terminal. They will have a sub-agreement between the port and North Point. North Point is going to provide some amount of funds for this project, unknown at this time. A few other details about the container terminal. You need to bring a ship in, unload it, turn it around, and send it out again. So you have to have something called a turning basin. This is just a schematic of what the turning basin would look like in front of the container. And so you can see the size. It would essentially go all the way across from the North Spit to Empire. This is a bigger picture of where the terminal is in the bay. The red is the turning basin for the container terminal. And for some reason, we have a second turning basin at River Mile 8. The port and the project components are talking about this being a green port, implying that it will reduce carbon emissions. And one of the things they talk about is this thing called cold ironing. Cold ironing allows ships to switch off their diesel generators, while at the dock and plug into electricity. Sounds wonderful. Unfortunately, there are very few container vessels that actually have this ability. Cruise ships do, but of the vessels in the world, only about 3% are able to actually do this at this time. The dock equipment will be electrified, of course, but not the rail line or the diesel locomotives. The vast amount of pollution, carbon emissions, comes from the multi-day voyages to and from Asia. So the ship arrives, it has to be unloaded. You use cranes to unload it. Cranes will be powered by electricity. We'll have 10 cranes. The booms lower and raise as necessary. This is a schematic of what the cranes look like to carry the containers off. They're pretty big. They're sized specifically to accommodate the 13,000 TEU ships. And if you're like me, I am not very good at imagining sizes. So here's the Tioga building, weighing 118 feet. So when the boom is down, it's 2 times the Tioga building. When the boom is up, it's 3.5. Cranes move along the dock so that they can move up and down the ship, of course. And as you can imagine, cranes and containers are impacted by wind. And the cranes will have special things to tie them down. They have storm pins. But what we know about the North Spit, of course, is it's pretty windy. This was Mondays. If you want to find out about what the wind's doing at North Bend Airport, there's a great website to do that. And this was Mondays, and you can see that from 11 till 8 p.m., the vertical axis is in miles per hour. The red dots and lines are the wind gusts. So you have to, there are times when the cranes cannot function because the wind is too strong. This is what we know about the PCIP plans. There will be 3 ships a week. It will be a 24-hour activity. The economic study in the core, that was sent to the core, says it will be 2 million TEUs per year. Recently, we've been hearing that it will be a lower number than that. There will be 6 trains to Eugene per day, and of course 6 trains coming back from Eugene. Imports and exports, none have been publicly identified, but it's obviously going to be goods from Asia, and the report says they will be destined for the interior western states. Exports, no idea on those, but there will be a lot of empty containers because we have to get those containers back to Asia so they can send us more things. And there's no public information about any shipping company or any terminal operator that might be interested in coming to Coos Bay. Here is the cost from that core study. The cost of the container terminal is $1.25 billion in 2024 funds. And there's a lot we don't know about the PCIP terminal. So I looked for somewhere on the West Coast that handles approximately 2 million Ts per year. And the Port of Oakland does just that. And so I'll just give you a very brief overview of what the Port of Oakland looks like. 4 container terminals, 21 berths, 25 cranes of different sizes to accommodate the different ship sizes that come. They have a large number of ocean carriers that send ships to Oakland from Asia, and the vessel size ranges from 5,000 to 16,000 TEUs. I did not choose the Port of Prince Rupert, which is what I started with. This is a port more similar to what is proposed to that in Coos Bay, but in 2023, they only handled 700,000 TEUs. That's about 35% of what the port is planning if they do go to 2 million. So I hope I have given you a small insight to the port's plans for this component of the PCIP. There's a huge amount more to learn and many more answers needed. So I'll now pass it on to Mike Graverville.